It was just a terrible accident. Honestly, a simple accident that couldn't have been avoided. I did nothing wrong to cause it. He'd somehow ran into the garage in that 2-second span that shouldn't have stopped, that shouldn't have happened as I backed up the truck. It was an unavoidable accident, and nothing could have prevented it. I swear to everything that exists. I didn't see him, even once. I only felt a jarring thump as steel and tire connected with something that should not have been there. I got out of the truck, ready to see a flattened basketball or a misplaced delivery. Dana is always ordering. Her stupid obsession with antiques has boxes constantly blocking the path through the kitchen, and that doorbell ding-ding-dings every Saturday when I try to sleep in. I figured it was just another box until I rounded the Ford and saw the twitching little arm and the folded jaw jutting out in a bloody, vulgar angle. I dry heaved and knew he was dying. His head was bent inward, his facial features pressed into a crevice from a clearly crushed skull. I cried. Honest to God, I cried as I turned quickly away from the horrible deformation of Sean's crushed head. I only wanted to end his suffering. The damage was already done, so I got in the car and squeezed my eyes shut as tears streamed down my cheeks. I reversed the truck, hearing the crunch, and cried into the steering wheel, devastated. I sobbed and died inside, never having taken a life before. Nothing could have prepared me for that feeling of emptiness. Nothing could have stopped my lurching terror as I heard his voice call out.
"What happened, Papa?"
Gurgling vocal cords spilled out from behind me. "Sean?" I asked in a creaky voice, shaky from the tears. I must have imagined it. It was a bad dream was all. Sean was fine, of course. "Sean!" I shouted, sliding from the seat out of the truck's door. I ran back to hug him and hold him, but I stopped dead in my tracks as I rounded the hatchback and saw the standing remains of my child in the garage. It stood upright, feet astride. It held that mangled folding wound of a head upon a broken neck. Dripping bits of bone and gray matter streamed down red from a pulpy hole in the center. The nose, mouth, and eyes were no longer discernible. It was a vulgar mess, horrific and startling, and I yelped and stumbled back onto the concrete floor. It began dragging its feet towards me, one after another, and I screamed. It then screamed back, clearly in pain and beyond saving. I tripped over my boots as I scrambled to the house door, bolting up the stairs to the closet in my room. I used the step stool to fetch my .45 high up and out of reach from him. I heard my wife ask what I was doing, but you can't understand the feeling of having your child mangled and suffering until it happens, until he needs to be released from that pain. Dear God, that horrible mess his head had become. Nothing could have been done to scoop the spilled brains back inside. It was beyond clear. It was just a terrible accident, and it needed to be finished. My body shivered and tears flowed as I dragged my feet back into that garage and raised the pistol. I aimed it at that awful crushed head that no longer held identifiable facial features, and I squeezed the grip and pulled the trigger, stinging my hand from the heavy kickback. Red spray missed the air with a ringing bang, and nearly a pint of dark fluid splashed down to the garage floor.
"Addie?"
It drooled, teeth and brain and blood rivers as it stepped closer to me. I squeezed off another shot, dead center, right where the brain should have once been in that mess, and the tangy gunpowder filled my dripping nostrils as I cried and screamed.
"Addie!"
It moaned and trudged closer, a hole straight through that mush that was once my child's head. It kept approaching and I wailed. Then another high-pitched scream joined mine. It was my wife, just behind me. No words could be said, only pained wailing as what was once our son walked closer and closer. I fired the remaining 12 rounds into the heart and head of that thing that was once Sean, but it didn't drop. It walked closer, oozing organs and fluids we are not meant to see, impossible and alive. My wife ran inside and I followed, locking the door with scrambling hands. My wife Sheila is gone now. She's a shell of rambling madness after witnessing that thing she saw in the garage that keeps pounding the door, eager to get in. She talks of devils and Satan, possession and punishment. She thinks this is hell, and I can't say I have a better answer. At some point, it broke through that door in the garage that leads to the house. We listened as the voice got louder and closer, drooling syllables thick and wet as it called to us. Small fingers reach in under the door, wiggling digits dragging loose flesh from the bone within. Flies buzz around our room, dozens of winged spawn that cause me to flinch as I type and bat at them with shaky hands. Sheila just mumbles lullabies now, rocking back and forth in the corner, her mind gone. It's been 2 days, and hunger pierces my stomach. I can do nothing but stare with eyes dried from depleted tears at that skeletal paw clawing under the door as it tries to reach in, calling to me in that slow, gurgling voice.
Daddy?